If you're looking for a new rogue-lite shooter where you can test your builds and metal against PvE combatants with scaling difficulties, or you want to have a more fast-paced PvP looter like The Division Dark Zones with both team and solo options, maybe you like sending super BA minions out to do your bidding or kitting out your hero with weapons, attachments, mods that suit your playstyle, then look no further than the new match-based roguelite hero shooter called SYNCED, developed by Next Studios. If at any point you want to check it out, hey, I'll have a link in the description to their page with everything you need to know. The open beta is up right now and will be through January 15th, so you've got a few weeks to dive into it during the holiday season. If you're solo, the missions are match made, but there is a solo PvP playlist as well, and that's where I spent the bulk of my time. This techno post-apocalyptic shooter revolves around the idea that a tech company accidentally unleashed creatures called Nanos into the world. They corrupted the planet, sent humanity spiraling into chaos and collapse, and years in the future you play as what's called a runner, someone who braves the storm to go out and collect valuable resources to keep your group of survivors alive. In the PvP realm, this means competing against enemy runners who are working to collect the same resources in the same spaces. They're hostile and will take you out to ensure that they walk away with the biggest cut of the resources out in the field. You need to travel the map, gain intel on caches to get better weapons and gear, buy upgrades in real time, and extract the Nerva resource to win the match. I'll talk more about how the PvP space works in a minute. In the PvE space, this means going out into the field as a group of 3 players. There are several different heroes to play as. Some offer healing and revive support, others can support the team by obscuring enemy vision and doing increased damage to weak points, others can help with mob density control with fire grenades, or cloak themselves and go in for some big damage on a major threat on the battlefield. Your first order of business is to drop a big enemy nano and then sync them to your gauntlet, making them an ally in combat. When you recall them to your arm, they provide a variety of passive boosts to your character like increased accuracy when strafing or faster aim down sight speeds. These nano companions, they're sort of the central part of the game, and in the beta there are 4 of them to choose from. You've got the Crusher, a large brute that charges in to take aggro for you, the Suppressor, my personal favorite, that lays down a ranged heavy fire to keep enemies' heads down, the Guardian, who can deploy shields to keep you safe from incoming projectiles, and the Seer, who specializes in providing tactical information and revealing enemy positions to you so you can't be snuck up on. But your ultimate goal is to keep the storms at bay by clearing storm surges around the map. You can take the direct route and get it done quickly, or you can go off the beaten path and discover safe houses and caches full of valuable weapons, armor, power-ups, and resources to make your character stronger. You start with nothing, and by the end of the mission, you'll be pretty kitted out if you're doing your job right. These missions are called Dead Sectors, and in the beta, there are 5 of them for you to complete, but they get considerably more challenging as you progress through them. But don't worry, when you fire up the game, there's a tutorial that'll teach you everything you need to know about getting those missions done. The more of these you run, the more you can upgrade your starting kit, so you spawn into each match a little more powerful than the last. You can also level up your weapon proficiencies, so the more time you spend using a certain weapon, the better it will perform for you. Just another way to differentiate yourself from players based on the choices that you make. Complete jobs for vendors back in Haven, and unlock new attachments and mods as well. But I want to focus more on the PvP aspect of the game. The solo mode feels a lot like solo PUBG to me, but with a smaller map and only 12 players. Everyone gets 3 revives, so you can respawn if you go down. But this keeps the action high and encourages engagements early so you can whittle away at each player's respawns, leaving you less competition when it comes to securing a harvester later in the match. These harvesters, they spawn at different times and draw players in with the promise of big points and lots of currency. Hack one and hold it against the opposition for 2 minutes, and you get to walk away with very, very deep pockets. In this particular match in the background, I managed to locate a safe house early in the match that had an absolute banger gold AR in it, and while I played most of the match with little armor at all, I still managed to drop 12 players and take 2 harvesters in a heated 1v1 to end the match. One building had an epic double-barreled shotgun, so when one player ripped my armor, I ran into a building, baited him into pushing me, and then just blew him away with 2 quick shotty blasts at point-blank range. But you can also also use snipers for ranged engagements, but be careful not to rely on them too much, as these harvesters tend to force closer ranged engagements if you're trying to stay within the radius to capture them. The snipers are great for picking players off that are in those areas, but if you want to take the harvester and claim the loot, then you're going to have to get in there and get your hands dirty. The TTK in this game is pretty fast. I'd relate it to something like Hunt Showdown or Tarkov in many respects. You're going to have to be smart and tactical. This match that I won, I came from behind. It came down to me and the first place guy for the final harvester. I sent my minion in to take his attention and flanked around the building and forced him into a close range fight that he wasn't ready to handle. As he went to the respawn screen, I set up my sync on the final harvester, got into a prime position, and held my ground as the timer ran down. I kept him at bay by sending my minion out to disrupt his push, lobbed my ultimate ability, a fire grenade, to keep his health low, forcing him to spend valuable time healing. And then he had to make a reckless push to try and keep me from winning in the final seconds, but my position was too strong, and I took the gold. These dynamic rivalries can spontaneously erupt in these matches, and that's the most fun part about it to me. You've got the scoreboard in the corner of the screen that lets me know who the top dog is and who I need to go after. Or it'll let me know if somebody's catching up to me in their points and about to overtake me, and I need to go hunt them down. One thing this game does that's really interesting is that it's a third-person shooter, but if you're much more comfortable aiming down sights in tactical shooters like these, that's actually an option too. You can ADS over the shoulder and zoom in, or you can actually go into first person and look through your optics instead. Most games, it's like one or the other, but being able to pick which one you want in real time for any engagement is absolutely wonderful. Also, the rogue-lite mechanics ensure that each match plays differently than the last. If I find a powerful sniper rifle and mods that help me with ranged combat, then that's how I'm playing that match. But if I find brawler mods and a shotgun, then hey, I'm going in for the up-in-your-grill kills.
What's that runner?
The loot that you find dictates how you're going to be playing each individual match. If you want to take a team of 3 into PvP, that's the other option. Securing those zones becomes much more tactical when you can set up your team for zone control or infiltration if someone else gets to those zones first. Find enemy squads, hunt them down, and use your team's choices for builds against your enemies. But be careful, you might run into some genuine monster players out there.
There is.
That's Dr. Lupo! All in all, Synced is a fun distraction from the lack of great shooters out there right now. If you want something new to try, request access to the beta via Steam and dive into Synced today. Level up some of your weapon proficiencies in PvE and unlock some attachments, then venture into PvP and see what kind of damage you can do there. Enjoy mixing and matching different companions, mods, weapons, heroes to find a playstyle that really suits you. Thanks so much for watching. Click the links in the description to get started, and thanks so much Next Studios for sponsoring this video. Be warm and well fed, my friends, and I hope to catch you out on the battlefield.